It is effectively midday on that same day, and you all are within the crypt in Vallaki, outside of the Church of Petrovich. Oh wait, no, the Church of St. Andrew. What would you all like to do?
I guess Flea will start by listening and seeing if he can hear anything outside.
Make a perception check.
So when we left off last week, it was like at the end of Sophia's like watch, and she definitely heard like a commotion. So I'm curious where that kind of like went, if it just kind of went away, or if that's like where we're kind of picking up.
So, placing your ear up to the edge of the crypt, you don't hear anything outside. It seems like things have calmed down.
Hey guys, I can't hear anything. It sounds like everything's quiet outside. Do we want to go back to the church and find out if anything has happened?
I, for one, am pretty well rested. Not sure exactly what we have planned for today, but maybe we could touch base with the father and try to find out what the Baroness's plans are.
And find something to eat.
Perhaps we should fix something before we go out there, just in case.
Whatever you want to do.
Still have plenty of the wolf that we roasted.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure we want to start a fire in this crypt.
It's already cooked. We could just munch on it for a minute and then go out there. At least a little something to hold us over.
Sounds good.
You know, I'm not opposed to a second breakfast, though, if the opportunity should present itself, of course.
Assuming that we're done eating, Flea wants to quietly and stealthily peek his head out the door and make sure there's nothing untold outside.
Roll a stealth check. You make the effort to slide the stone door open. Looking outside, things don't really seem abnormal. There seems to be people moving about along the streets, but from what you can tell, nobody has turned their attention towards you. They don't seem to be paying attention to the crypts, nor the graveyard.
Guys, it just seems like normal folks milling around outside. What do you say we go?
To the church, you mean? Or
Yes.
we could sneak our way in there. I am curious. We had discussed possibly leaving Vallaki or Walkerville or whatever the hell this place is called now, and possibly visiting the other of the Vistani. Is that still a priority?
That's what I thought. I just was thinking we may want to check to see if anything's developed while we slept.
Of course, of course. Just making sure we're still on the same page. Does that sound good to you, Javier?
Sounds perfect.
So, should we try to sneak up to the church then? I suppose alternatively we could just try to stroll up there nonchalant, but I suspect any movement in a graveyard is likely to.
Yeah, let's try to be a little bit quiet about this.
Wait for me to call for checks. Don't just roll when you think you're thinking about something.
Okay, I just figured that was what you were going to ask next.
But if something's gonna happen and I'm gonna call for disadvantage and I already see that there's a roll, it changes everything to have the roll out there. It's better for me to call for a roll and then for you to roll it. So you guys can stealth over into the building and walk into the church. So when you all walk into the church, coming from that western side, you're going to very quickly see a pretty similar scene where the father is still effectively like about at his lectern, and there are two other people who seem to be nearby to Lydia. In the process of entering, they each go to draw swords as they see you enter and start to move into your direction. And they basically call, "Halt! Who are you?" And then the other one, "Stop! Don't move any closer."
Ah, you must be the loyalists of the Baroness. She spoke of you.
"And who are you?"
I am the one and only Sarkis, Shadowstep, Storm.
Roll a persuasion. It is not often that somebody mistakes their name, but we have heard tell of you. Chateau Storm.
It was a long night, and while I slept well, I'm not exactly on top of my game today, so please excuse me. What are your names?
I am Renfred, and this Mirabelle. It is a pleasure to meet those who have extracted the doctors.
Of course, a pleasure to meet you two as well, and to dispatch the Walkers, Lady Walker in particular. And I'm sure my companions, well, you must have heard of them as well.
They start to like approach in a way to kind of force introductions with the others. And you'll notice as they each kind of stop almost in unison as they lock their eyes onto Sophia. And you are And she'll kind of take a moment, almost blushing, but sort of getting used to this. She'll just respond that she's Sophia, and she kind of just nods at them. Yes, there's no reason to talk about it. Oh, our apologies. Flea? Kavi? Hello, and thank you.
Our pleasure.
So while you all stand here in this group, looking around, you approach further deeper into the chapel. You'll notice they appear to have a single other guard. Yeska's over near the front gate, actually talking to that guard. But other than that, it does not seem like they came with strong reinforcements. It's just a few people at this point.
What was the other name? Renfred and what?
Mirabelle.
Thank you.
Do you have further intentions here in Vallaki? Where do you intend to leave us or move on? What are your plans?
We will return and mean to help the Baroness where we can, but we have a pressing matter. Some loose ends that we need to. Well, we need to travel to the south, to the. Was it like an encampment? I can't remember what they said. To the encampment to the south.
Yes, pressing needs. We understand.
Have you ever been down there to visit the Vistani or the elves that we've heard rumors of?
They pop a little bit, almost startled by the word of elves. But they kind of turn back as they were starting to walk back towards Lydia. The Vistani have long been unwelcome in Vallaki, and we have long had no dealings with them. I don't know if that will change with Our Lady taking power, but for all of my life, no. I have never come closer to a Vistani than was absolutely necessary.
There's one thing I found in this place. It's that you can't have too many allies. You should take them where you get them and be careful with the ones you do have, because they may not last long.
Be wary with your search for allies, that you do not recruit agents of the devil in sheep's clothing.
Of course, like the old adage says, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yes, we too have this saying. Keep your friends close. Well, if you intend to make your way to the Vistani, things should be as safe as you may find them. We wish you a swift return, and hope that when you return, you'll find us perhaps also in better form.
Your numbers are few. Are you sure that you have enough strength to retake the city? Do you need us?
You have pressing matters. We understand this. We too cannot delay. But everyone has the calling that they have.
Then let it be so. Protect yourself. Fight valiantly. We shall return.
They each, pretty well in unison, kind of duck their head a little bit in a reverent bow, and then return closer to Lydia.
Shall we go, Flea? Gabi?
Let us go.
So if you all are ready to leave the chapel, when you approach the southern door, Yeska and the guard kind of look at you for a moment. You can tell the guard almost looks past your shoulder as he looks towards his superiors, and they nod as he moves out of the way and sort of pushes the door open for you. And you all can step out onto the town. If you all are stepping out of the church, you will very quickly see that there are bodies strewn across the front of the chapel. Most of them wearing black cloaks, some of them in the same garb as the guard who just opened the door for you. And it becomes very quickly apparent that the reason 3 remain is because they're the ones who lived. And among all of the bodies, they've lost some of their companions earlier this day. But you can more or less make your ways onto the main street and head out to the west if you are prepared to leave Vallaki.
Shall we go, everyone?
Yes, it looks like there was quite a battle. Perhaps we don't need to be doing as much sneaking around now.
So y'all just walking on your way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess realistically, if like the purple road people were pretty much who were like trying to lay low for them, so I guess we could always be sneaky at first and try to get away from the church so we don't draw attention. But at this point in time, I don't really see a huge reason why.
I also think we're close enough to the gate where, like, we really don't need a reason to stealth through.
Works for me.
So, as you all walk on down the road, everything seems to be more or less perfectly normal. You are walking past some folk who seem to be wearing black robes. Most of them don't seem to be paying any attention to you. First set who you walk past, there's 4 of them, and they all seem to be walking in the opposite direction. You all just going to walk past them?
Don't see any reason why not.
So when I said purple robes, I might have said that wrong. Were the followers of Wachter, were they all wearing black robes?
Yeah, it's been all black robes.
I guess like after we walk by, I'll whisper to Kavi and Flea. I wonder if we should dispatch them. The Baroness and her followers, their numbers were few, and we have just rested.
We've cut off the head of the snake. The body will die.
All right then, let's stay on track.
Moving beyond, you all are heading closer and closer to the western gate. As you approach the gate itself, again, the gates are pretty well destroyed at this point. There's nothing sealing the actual gate. There are still gatehouses that watch over the entry point on Old Svalich Road, but otherwise you can approach however you would care to, but it seems like there's a straight walk out of Vallaki.
Yeah, sounds good. I just kind of keep my eye out for like what other happenings there are in the town. Does it appear like there's more battle going on? Do we see like more robed people or just civilians?
Roll an intelligence check. Actually, no, there's no point for an intelligence check. Last night, Father Petrovich told you all that everybody was ordered to wear black robes. Any given person that you've killed in black robes, you don't know who they were loyal to.
Oh, okay. So even after we went to bed and like the fighting ensued and everything, we don't know that the orders have been like dispersed or anything.
What do you mean?
Well, now that like Lady Wachter's not in charge, there wasn't like like a hear ye, no more black robes.
That's why Lady Petrovich needs to get to the town center. She's trying to stop that. Because the cult's surely not going to just say, hey, yeah, our queen got killed. So we have no power anymore.
Did that not happen during our long rest? I thought that's what they were doing.
No, the kid went to get her guards. Those were the guards getting there.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So you all can leave the western gate and start to head on your way, effectively following yourselves along the path to where Strahd last disembarked and sort of pointed to the encampment that was relevant to Rahadin. But you can start to make your way south towards the encampment.
They seemed rather confident that they would be fine, but I starting to have second thoughts. Should we stay and help them? Their numbers are so few, and the cult may still be stronger than it appears.
Or it may be weaker than it appears.
True, but one matter seems pressing and the other not as much. Is there a pressing reason we need to go see the Vistani now?
We have done what we've set out for here, which was to end the wafter line. They need to stand on their own two legs now.
True, but I hate to leave and come back and find that we've lost our allies and the cult has retaken or remained in control when just a little help from us could have swayed the battle one direction or the other.
Javi, your thoughts?
I don't think it could hurt if we stopped. But at the same time, it might not be necessary to stop right away.
I do understand what Flea's saying about them standing on their own 2 feet, so
If they can't stand on their own 2 feet, how valuable of an ally are they?
He says after having a safe night's place to sleep.
Yep. I will yield to the majority.
we can do as we please. I'm just saying that there's definitely an argument to be had about staying and aiding them.
Pick a decision, guys.
I mean, you guys know how I feel. I don't think that. I mean, do we even know why we're going to see the other Vistani? Like that's my only argument. Is one matter is pressing and serves a purpose. The other one is sort of like an up in the air. Like we could go here because we heard about a place.
What are you all doing in Barovia if you are not trying to help people?
Yes, but the best way we can help people is to end the devil.
So you're walking the wrong way. His castle is to the east. Go fight him. Do you feel strong enough to fight the devil? You guys fought your vampire for the first time.
Oh yeah, we got our butts whooped, and hopefully we don't find another one inside the city.
So maybe it's time to do other shit.
I mean, I'm okay for whatever. I just was voicing my opinion and also RPing. So whatever you guys want to do is fine.
Kava, do you want to go back in the city then? I mean, if that's the decision, I'll support it.
I think we should go south. Because what is there for us to do in Vallaki other than like basically clean up?
To the Vistani it is. Let's move on. So you all can follow along the path as you climb up into the hills that lie south of Vallaki. Shortly into the march, after about 15 or so minutes, the first few trees kind of scattered about from the forest are around you, and then after a while you find that there are more and more trees around you before you find that you are on a trail within the forest itself. And minutes beyond that, you will gain a view of the encampment ahead as you see the camp that lies ahead of you seems to have many houses around the actual lowest level of this hill before you that are built into the actual hill itself, all of which seem to have their own hearths that are smoking through the chimneys around. On top of the hill itself, you then see a rotation of wagons that seems to sit around the crest crowning the hill, and central on the crown is a large tent that seems to be the centerpiece of this whole presentation. Everything has cleared trees all around it, so there's quite a good view between the actual houses and the forest beyond. But otherwise, that is your view. You all are probably still about a quarter of a mile or so away from it at that point as you approach from the trail, and you now see your destination ahead.
An interesting looking little village. Pleasant.
And a nice clearing between them and the forest. Interesting. Do we see anybody outside, or, kids running around and playing, all that kind of normal stuff?
You can roll perceptions. Disadvantage. Looking around, you don't really see anybody at this point. You're still kind of too far away. It's hard to make anything out in the light. just progressing forward?
Yeah, I think so.
So you all can continue to walk on as you close the distance and get closer and closer. You do start to see that the trail kind of winds up and around from above, or as you get closer, you start to pick out that all of these houses are very much like a different kind of construction than you've seen previously here. Many of them are all created in ways that just seem unlike everything else in Barovia, and just as much unlike everything that you've seen from the Vistani, who seem to, for everything that you've seen, have very temporary encampments. Even when they're like all set up, everything seems to be like a creation meant to travel and move on. And in this process, you see these houses that crown their hill, and that seems odd. But also, the trail that you're walking on directly leads up and around the hill in a spiral. And as you follow it further and further in, you see very clearly these are Vistani tents at the top of the hill, Vistani wagons that crown the hill, and then you start to see their horses. And as you approach higher and higher, you start to see that there's actual Vistani up there. And as you actually get closer, so that's still basically like getting you onto this map, basically. As you get closer to the actual hill itself, upon getting closer and closer, doesn't seem to be any activity from the houses, but you do see the activity on top of the hill. Perhaps these houses are abandoned, and yet you see that their hearts seem to be burning, and they are smoking. But you all can otherwise continue on and head up the trail and into the Vistani camp.
Sounds good to me.
Are there any similarities or such that might indicate the Vistanis are inhabiting the houses, be it, curtain, the way the curtains are, the way they're kept, stuff that's sitting outside, anything like that?
No, from what you can tell, these houses are not Vistani houses.
Okay.
There's not really any signs of life other than the actual hearths that are burning, the smoke that's rising from the chimneys. Other than that, these houses seem abandoned. There's no decorations, nothing fancy about them, nothing that seems anything but austere. Which is the stark opposite of what the Vistani are, where everything that they have is very bright and colorful. It's very contrasting colors. It's very gaudy, and these houses are completely different than that.
Perhaps these are the elves.
I kind of don't think so. I would not. I would expect them in the woods unless I'm missing something. Not with having a definite clearing between the woods. I could be wrong.
There's many types of elves, not just wood elves. Perhaps they're a different kind.
Maybe.
So you all can move up, and as you follow the spiral of the trail, you find yourselves walking around towards the western side of the actual hill here. Getting further up, you start to see that there are plenty of horses that are being fed outside of this large tent. There's a ring of music from within the tent itself. And eventually you can also spot that they have some other livestock, among which would be things like goats and dogs outside of the tents feeding as well. And while, again, it seems like a rather temporary installment, it still is a rather permanent installation that you kind of see here. Um, and as you approach, the tent up top is kind of like a 40-foot diameter, stands about 30 foot tall, and as you approach, doesn't really seem to be like a lot of people who are outside, but you do very quickly see the darker skin, gaudy dress of some Vistani who seem to at times be stepping out and then walking back into the tent itself. But you all are basically at the ring of the wagons and can approach as you desire.
Do we remember who told us about this place?
As far as things go, I feel like the last person who said something would have been Father Petrovich. I don't remember the actual conversation that you had about them in particular. Um, but also, Strahd would have at some point pointed it out. Um, Again, this was somewhat in reference for Rahadin. So, as you kind of stand at the edge of the encampment, somebody is stepping out. As he walks over, kind of leans over to pick up one of the barrels, and his attention pauses for a moment as he sees you all. Hello! If you have come to enjoy our company, you are most welcome. Can I help you with anything?
Hello to you, my friend. We've never been here before, only heard of this place, so decided that we were overdue for a visit.
Welcome. If a visit is your aim, you are most welcome with us. If you care to buy any of our goods, that would be wonderful as well. Please, what are your names?
I am Sarkis Shadowstorm.
Hello, Sarkis. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Lavish.
And I am Flea, the hairy one.
That is evident. It's good to meet you, Flea. And Sophia will step forward and introduce herself, and he kind of nods to her, taking a little bit longer to stare at her. Well, you are all welcome here. Please, come in. You can meet Luvash as well as Aragal. We must admit things are a little inopportune to entertain, but we will do what we can.
The pleasure of your company is entertainment enough.
And clearly you have met Vistani before.
Yes, we've had the pleasure of company with Vistani before. Yes.
So do you all approach the tent and walk in?
Yeah.
Yes.
So going inside of the tent, as the Vash brings you in, you see within there's 5 Vistani, 2 who seem to be sitting in a rather heated conversation as they speak amongst themselves, another who is playing just a little bit of music, and one more who seems to just kind of be sitting enthralled by the actual conversation. And then Lavish himself walks in with you all. And as you approach and they start to notice that there are others following behind Lavish, he kind of takes a moment to just clear his throat, and the 2 in conversation stop before looking up. Hello. Welcome. What, pray, can we do for you? I'm Luvash. This is my brother Aragal. We are the elders of this camp.
Ah, the elders. We were told of this place, and we're far travelers. Been here for a while now, but haven't made our way down, so we figured we should visit.
As you say, far travelers, Lavash looks over towards Aragal, and Aragal kind of shakes his head to Lavash, and then he looks back to you. Well, it's a pleasure to meet far travelers who have come to these lands. Are you coming for goods? What do you care for? Do you care for some drink? Livish was about to tap a fresh barrel of wine.
Not looking for any goods in particular, but gladly take a look. You can never have too many things.
You may quickly find that too many things binds you, and they start to possess you. But if you would so care, please follow me. I can show you some of the goods. And he'll just kind of look around for a moment before you hear a little bit of a ring as he seems to pick something up from within the carpets that he was kind of seated on. And he will step outside to one of the wagons that's more or less directly in front of the actual tent itself and step out. And after a few moments, he'll undo a few locks and start to open up the actual wagon itself. A lot of the things that it sells seems to be a very particular like vial, and it just says Vistani's magical miracle cure, and that's like a third of the actual wagon's facing is all just these vials listed under that little title. And then he'll have things like different like tapestries, and he'll unravel some different tapestries that have different scenes. Some of them are just like gardens of wildflowers. Some of them are crazy scenes of battle with like dragons fighting knights of old. There's many different things like that, but there's a good portion of the wagon is tapestries. Some of the other things that they have are simple things like actual rations and such things like that. But he'll take some time to show everything off to you all, and just kind of here and there. Do you care for? And he'll just pick something up and kind of show it to you and ask if you're looking to buy it. But overall, he'll take a little bit more time as he presents these little Vistani magical miracle cures, and he'll describe to you that these are the only way that you can walk through the mist without being hurt and find your way back home.
Walk through the mist, you say? Where does it lead when you walk through it?
If you are a fire traveler and you drink this precisely before you step into the mist, you will find yourself walking back through the mist, and shortly before it wears off, after about an hour, sometimes give or take a little bit more or less, and you will find yourself, when it wears off, you will walk out of the mist on your home plane and find yourself just beyond the door of your own house.
It allows you to leave this place, you say?
Yes, this is a brew of our own making. It is quite fantastic, and it is the magic behind our own ability to leave this land.
And you have so much of it?
We must make it on a regular basis. If we are ever running out, we are incapable of doing our duties. And so much of what we do is traveling between the planes and leaving to go and find the other folk who are expected to come and join us here in Barovia.
And what is the price for each of these vials?
Each vial is only 5 gold.
So for 5 gold, anyone, far traveler, or Vistani, could leave this place for good, and should they choose never return?
You would need a second one if you are looking to return. That would be 9 gold. I can make a discount for you.
Sounds too good to be true. Why is everyone stuck here then if it's only 5 gold to leave?
Sadly, for the people who are native to this land, bringing you back to your home only brings you back into the mist. For they are already home. There is nowhere to flee. And that is why many Barovians are simply stuck here. Our magic, our ability to walk between planes, is in part because we have no home. We are not meant to be here just as much as we are not meant to be there.
Is it common knowledge that you offer this?
Only as common as among the Vistani. Many people in these lands have poor conceptions of my people. Many people come to conclusions before they investigate something thoroughly.
I'm truly speechless. This is the last thing I thought we would find here. I didn't even know something like this existed, but it seems almost too good to be true.
Can I tell if he's on the level? Is he lying?
You can make a insight check. Looking over his mannerisms, looking how he talks about this potion, he's quite proud of it. He doesn't seem to be having any sort of nervous tics. He doesn't seem to be acting odd. He seems to be acting very much like a Vistani would in every other situation that you've come across them.
I thought I had some money, but I might have just spent it all. I don't know. I had literally zero right now. I thought we had money from something.
Yeah, we should from various things, but I know I have a few gold pieces. Let me look at my list.
I have 0 gold, just silver and electron.
Yeah, I don't know.
The
Oh, go ahead.
fact that you have like nil is rather surprising. It seems like you would never have the perfect amount to have nothing. I feel like probably the last time you had a chance to buy anything, you were probably at the storage yard inside of Vallaki, but I'm not sure what you would have bought unless you just spent all of your money on rations.
No,
You've got a lot of rations.
I definitely overpaid for some rations, and then right afterwards we got all that wolf meat, which was a bunch of rations. But I didn't spend all my money on rations, and like you said, it's weird because I'm literally at zero. So I wonder if D&D Beyond like deleted it somehow. I'm curious. I seem to find myself a little short on cash, but interested in a barter at all? And I'll present one of the silver items.
Well, and I thought the silver items were worth 25 gold each. There were 4 of them.
25 silver each, I think.
Uh, yeah, is that something you guys have like on your person?
Yeah, I have that in my notes from earlier. I think it was the 3rd week of the game, maybe 4th.
But not on your character sheet.
It's in the notes on my character sheet, but I mean, not anywhere else.
It was a locket, 2 rings, and a raven brooch.
Okay, my sheet on the currency section shows 5 gold, 5 electrum.
Perhaps we should buy one and let Sophia leave.
Sure. Would you like to leave?
Of course I would. This place is terrible.
Would you like to try the vial and walk back through the mist to home?
That would most certainly be quite a wonderful thing.
I'm willing to buy it. I have the 5 gold pieces.
Lavash will kind of look over you all. I could do 4 of these for this raven that you have here.
What's he talking about?
The raven brooch.
But I thought you said each of these was worth 5 gold, and the brooch is probably 25 silver at best. Why do you want it?
No, they're 25 gold.
Oh, I thought they were 25 silver.
Nope. Essentially, they're 250 silver.
Oh, okay. That's what I originally had wrote down, but then I thought you said they were only 25 silver each. Okay, I got you. I don't know. Is that it then? Everyone will just buy one of these and leave this place forever? Are you ready to leave, Flea?
Part of me says yes, and part of me says no.
I used to think that I wanted to leave and I would do anything to, but now I don't think I do. But Sophia, we should get Sophia out.
Indeed.
Sophia, would you feel safe to leave by yourself?
What if it doesn't take me out of danger's way, and I find myself alone in another place? You would be so quick to leave me? You are charged by my mother to protect me, not to go about this land and do what you would care to.
I don't think I'm ready to leave, but perhaps it's worth a try. But what if we would need in case I had to come back? These people, the people of this place, they need our help. They've waited for us. If we left now, I don't know. I would go with you. Once you were safe, I would return.
Oh, perhaps you should buy more. You can escort your friend to safety, and then when you are ready to return, you can simply drink the next one and come back and see us again. You have nice rings there as well. I could take those off of your hand and present you with a few more of these vials. Perhaps we could do 9 vials, and you could save some other folk, or perhaps come back with friends. However you might desire to travel. It gives you options and choices to make.
And what if, like you said, this place is our home now? What happens then? We just walk into the mist and then come right back out in the same place?
Are you born of this land?
No, we are far travelers.
You can travel home. It is those who are born of this land. Your body will determine where it is that you can go. You will find yourself walking through to the land of your birth.
Then we must. We must. You say for 2 of these items, you would give us 9 of the potions?
That is the best that I can do.
Does it matter which ones we give you?
I really enjoy the Raven. That is a personal favorite of my own. But I like the ring as well. Why do you ask? Are some more precious to you?
I suppose you and I have quite a bit in common. I've grown strangely fond of ravens since we came to this place. I never particularly liked birds before, but made some friends, and, well, the raven sort of reminds me of them, but it makes no real difference to me. But if you, maybe the 2 rings?
The craftsmanship of the Raven, I think, is superior to the rings. But that is not entirely unacceptable to me. I can take the rings.
A deal then.
Reaches out his hand and he spits in the palm of his hand.
Ah, something else we have in common. Sarkis will just like spits in his hand, and it's like particularly gross because his nose is like all like runny and gooey when he does it, and then he goes to shake it.
Excellent. A deal. Wonderful. Well, perhaps a drink, and you all will have a fantastic travel this evening.
Of course, of course. Still have to get to know you a bit before we leave so soon, but a drink sounds wonderful.
So he'll kind of walk back into the tent with the others after locking up the wagon and sits down near Lavish, and he will grab his own mug, which is like a nice fancy like beer stein carved out of what appears to be a horn, and he grabs some other glasses and kind of starts to pour drinks for everybody else. And as he looks to Sophia, He kind of second guesses for a moment before she just straight up grabs one of the drinks from somebody else and starts to chug, which he'll let out a big old chuckle before pouring a glass and replacing it to the person that she essentially stole their drink. These are trying times, and it is most certainly good to return home. Tell me about your homes, about the lands that you look forward to seeing this evening.
As I look in my notes and see where we're from.
Yeah, effectively you all started as mercenaries outside of Daggerford in this, so you're roughly going to describe the Sword Coast on some level. You don't necessarily have to describe those things, that's just where his conversation will go.
Yes, and assuming we just montage through that, and that's where I met them, and this whole adventure started. Before that, I lived on a monastery. I hadn't traveled much at all, and to tell you the truth, as I grew older, I realized that no one ever left the monastery, and all the stories, all the things I've been told my entire life, none of them could have been true. At least they didn't belong to the men who were telling them, because no one ever left. So how could anyone have such grand stories if they never left? And it just became evident to me that they were just passed down from one to another, and slowly over time everyone just told them as if they were their own. Strange, and that's when I knew I had to leave and had to experience the world for what it was for myself.
And now that you have been able to experience many worlds, do you find ours is pleasing to you? Do you like to travel? Would you travel to new places? We find ourselves always drawn back to Barovia, and yet Aragal has visited many worlds. I've visited less. I'm often needed here. And I miss it pretty much.
As strange as it sounds, I love it. And while I thought my adventures would keep me on the Sword Coast and closer to Daggerford for longer, in many ways, I feel destined. Like I was meant to be here. I feel like myself more than I ever have before, and I guess that's why I'm sort of hesitant to leave. But maybe just part of it is the shock of not thinking it was even possible until only a moment ago.
It is quite fortunate that you were able to find us and chose to visit the Vistani this evening. And you see as somebody steps up to the edge of the tent and his attention is pulled away from you all.
Can we see who it is?
Just looking behind, there's just some Vistani at the edge of the tent, none of which that you would be familiar with. And he kind of looks at them and rather sternly, "News? Did you find her? Please." And they just kind of shake their head, just in a no.
You said, "Did you find her?"
Yep.
I don't mean to pry, but who are you looking for?
My daughter was traveling to Lake Zarovich. I expected her back today. Yesterday. It's most surprising that she has not returned today.
How long
I've-
ago did she leave? Should you be concerned?
She was traveling yesterday. It was assumed she would be gone for the day. When night came, I certainly found myself more concerned. But we have many of our people searching the areas. I was just hopeful that my friends would have returned good news by now.
I'm curious, and I don't mean to change the subject. And I know this is not a casual question for someone who you've only just met, but a few days ago, did the devil pay you a visit?
We are visited by Strahd on a regular basis. It is not unheard of for him to visit us. Though, I think it has been some time since he has come to the encampment. Why do you ask?
He knows of these potions?
He is well aware of them, yes.
I'm curious. We had some cordial interactions with him as well, and it's very evident that his goal is to leave this place. And while I understand that these potions may not be viable for him, there's one that belongs to him. Asher, are you familiar with him?
Asher has done what he can with our magic to attempt to find a way out of this land. He works quite closely with the Master. They are attempting to turn our own magics into something that they are capable of traveling. I don't know how close you are to Strahd, but he is the land. He is imprisoned within the mist. Our magic can save people who are brought here. But Strahd is the reason here exists. And that is why they need a much more powerful magic than even the Vistani have.
This is interesting and confusing at the same time. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I thought Strahd and his father, well, Strahd's father, had come and conquered this land.
Many ages ago, indeed, they have.
Then how is he the land? Um, or has it truly been that long ago?
It has many hundred of years have passed since his father was alive. Strahd has ruled here for many hundreds of years.
Yes, hundreds of years being but a teardrop in the sea of time. What caused him to become the land?
If you must ask these questions, I am afraid it is probably not my liberty to share the story of the Lord. If you are close enough to ask him, I'm sure you would find yourself most at liberty to enjoy that conversation with Lord Strahd. From what I understand, even most of his children are not shared with such information. And if I were to share what I know, it would be, and he looks over to Sarkis, the stories that your monks share from lives that they never lived.
Yes, we would certainly not want to enrage him. Thank you for telling us what you could.
Any other questions that you all might have for Luvash? What do you all have in mind here?
Yeah, not really for me.
I am trying to decide if I should use augury to ask if we would truly go home with these potions.
Read augury again before you do it here.
Yeah, it's not a yes or no. Yeah.
No. It's a choice that you're going to make within 30 minutes. You guys are not next to the mist right now. If you asked it right now, you're going to get no answer that's useful to you.
Thank you.
Augury is meant for, I am about to do something. Listen to the voices in your head, and they'll tell you how it's going to work out. But it's 100% the type of thing. This is what I'm about to do. Like, at the point of making a decision, that's when you listen to the voice.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the wine.
So how about we take a break here, come back about like 7:50-ish, and you all can have some time to decide where you would like to go. Perhaps before leaving the Vistani, if you had any other questions here. So, what would you like to ask?
Good sir, perhaps it would be a good idea if you have someone among you to give us a reading before we go on this journey.
I am sorry that we cannot oblige. All of The women of my camp are gone. I don't have anyone here who can work the cards for you. I am sorry.
Gone? As in temporarily? We heard of a woman named Aravel? Who is she to you?
Arabelle? Arabelle is my daughter. The one that we are searching for.
Perhaps, good sir, if we were to join in the search and maybe be successful, would you be willing to give us a reading and these potions?
There are many things that would please me about having my daughter returned to me. If you are able to find her, we could certainly discuss some sort of reward.
What do you think, guys?
And the last location of your daughter?
She was heading towards Lake Zarovich. The last time I've known where she was here.
And was she just headed there casually? Was she meeting someone? Would anyone want to do harm to her?
Many people have their thoughts about the Vistani. We are not universally liked. I fear perhaps she is in danger, but I assume that she has simply found herself busy about her day and lost track of all things.
Let us hope you are correct, but assume the worst. We will look for her as best we can. Can you direct us towards this lake?
For you, perhaps the easiest way would be through Vallaki, but if you follow the edge of the town, it is just as easy to find your way towards the lake. Simply north of the town, about 2 miles away. I don't know where you will find her once you arrive at the lake itself. It is quite a sizable place to be searching for someone. And that is much of why we find ourselves so unsuccessful.
We'll do our best to find your daughter, and perhaps get what we're looking for as well. I suspect another reading could be very useful for us.
So, what is the plan, Sarkis?
I'm assuming it's like pretty late in the day or night at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point you guys are probably looking at like 6:30 at best. Probably approaching the actual dusk area.
Traveling at night is dangerous, but if could mean the difference.
I believe we should set out in the morning, but if we must leave now, we must.
Kavi, what do you think?
If we set out now, I think we'll be okay.
How long did it take us to get here?
You guys are more or less like half hour or something away from Vallaki. It's like just outside of you, basically, of Old Svalich Road.
Yes, I think Kavi's on the right track. We should try to at least see if we can find her tonight. The more time that passes, the more danger she could be in, and the less likely we are to succeed.
Fair enough.
Can you describe her? We only have a name at this point in time, but some sort of description, her looks, her clothing.
She is about the age of your friend here. About the same height. Jet black hair. Perhaps a little bit more rounded of a face. Dark black eyes. She's usually dressed in very colorful clothes of nature. Greens, reds, yellows, blues. I believe she left with a few different pieces on, so she would be warm. But Yes, she should still be in those clothes.
Does she wear anything that can be tracked with arts magic?
What do you have in mind? What magic do you have?
I have none. I am merely searching for the best way to get your daughter back to safety.
Do you know somebody who can employ tracking magics?
I do not.
Then I believe that we can probably not worry about our ability to track any of her clothing. So, do you need a place that you are able to sleep? Or are you ready to leave now?
I think time is of the essence. If we find her, we'll return. If not, you'll see us again, but probably not as soon.
It is most appreciated. Thank you. Please, go with all haste and find my lovely Arabella.
We will try. We will try. Thank you for the trade. And I'll look over at Sophia. Some hope. And Sargis will start like getting up and like making sure all his little like stuff is like secured to his backpack and ready to go. Start like loading up.
So, what route would you all like to take? You're basically. Oh, it's actually right back here. Bam.
So we're just that like path that's directly south, right outside of the Westmore part of town.
Yeah, you can see the circle of the hill. So you basically have those paths to head out. But you're otherwise, within a third of a mile of the actual town, pretty much?
Yeah, it seems like they're probably about the same direct route. Um, but I would say avoid the actual town, like stay on the outskirts to try to like make haste. So maybe just go straight north and then like east on Old Svalich Road and then veer off before we get to the gates. And then just kind of like quarter mile outside the gate, just like kind of cutting off in between like the woods and the wall.
Yeah, I think the quarter mile is that more western of the trails out of their encampment.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So more or less, you'll try to take that path there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So you all can exit the Vistani camp, heading back along the trail, moving back towards Old Svellich Road. Moving past some of the cabins. Again, not really noticing anybody who is inhabiting them. They still seem just kind of oddly empty. Moving back along the road, it's not long before you find yourselves back at Old Svalich Road and well beyond the actual view of the guard posts at that point, and beyond some of the hunting lodges that are kind of the outskirts of the actual town. A lot of those are kind of like shanty style homes that are somewhat set up out there for the people who were trapped out when the gates were locked previously. No longer a problem now. And you can start your way along the actual paths outside as you try to circumvent the actual city and try to avoid the woods as well as you make your way to the north. Uh, Progressing through the journey, you all are able to stick to kind of the low ground between the town wall and between the woods. Eventually progressing past much of the town, you come back to the northern side and you are able to move back towards the road as you travel the rest of the way towards Lake Zarovich. So, as you approach Lake Zarovich, what would you like to do insofar as trying to look for this young lady?
I mean, I would check like nature, like tracking type stuff, see if there's like tracks, like, beaten down grass, signs of like any kind of like color clothing ripped off or anything, an area where someone had like settled down and was, just hanging out, something like that.
Do you want to try to maybe go around the lake shore?
Oh, am I misunderstanding this? I was under the impression you were asking like each of us what we were going to try to do to find the.
That's what I was thinking.
Lee is going to recommend that we, you know, stick to the perimeter of the lake and maybe pay particular attention to water sources, since that's one thing everybody needs to survive.
So you want to look around for water sources?
And look and search the edge of the lake perimeter.
Do you see how big that lake is?
Fair enough.
Do you see Vallaki on that map? How tiny it is? That lake is a massive lake. So on some certain level, searching the perimeter of it is like a week-long venture. Kaveh, do you have any ideas searching for her? What you would like to be doing?
We need a boat. Are there like any docks like from like any of the rivers?
So we can have Sarkis do an investigation. The other two of you can do perceptions. So, as you all take about like 15 or so minutes kind of combing the initial part of where this trail comes in contact with Lake Zarovich, separating a little bit before kind of rejoining each other, you all are able to... Sarkis, you would be able to see there's plenty of foot traffic in this area, so there's definitely a lot to be isolated and to figure out where the difference of fresh tracks, old tracks, things that might be suspicious tracks. But in particular, you do pick up at some point someone's footprint that is roughly the size of what you would expect to be looking at. Essentially, somebody who is roughly the size of Sophia. Kavi, you are able to pick up that many of the houses along Lake Zarovich's kind of coastline in between itself and the actual forest also have tiny docks, many of which also have rowboats on them. And in particular, kind of looking around, you don't necessarily find anything that just screams this is like a freshwater point. From what you can tell with Lake Zarovich, it doesn't seem to have any springs, anything in particular on this side that flows into it. It seems to be flowing. I mean, yeah, I feel like seems to be stagnant at this point. But you guys could almost see across the way that those are essentially, it's mountainous on the northern side, and you are on like the low side, so you can pretty well assume, and you all have also walked by the actual Luna River in the past, that it has tributaries on the north side, and it is flowing down south out of the Luna River. So from what you can tell, as far as looking for like a freshwater spring or something, there's nothing to be found, really.
Is the lake freshwater? Like, does it smell salty?
Do you want to taste it, or you just want to smell it?
Well,
Like you're just smelling the air?
Yeah, I figured there'd be salt in the air.
You can do another perception check to try to smell for salt in the air. Trying to give it a smell. From what you can tell, it smells like there's fish in the lake, and that people fish out here. It's hard to get a sense for the water just from smelling the air.
So at least that kind of eliminates it's not ocean salty, at least.
On like assuming we're still kind of like by each other, I would let them know that I found some tracks that could potentially be hers. These look like they belong to a young girl. We could maybe try to track them, see if they lead anywhere, look for bright colors, or maybe we'd find her safe and sound.
Lead on, good sir.
So you just want to do another survival to follow those?
Yeah, just see if I can like track them somewhere.
Trying to track them, follow them for a little bit of a ways, but then they just kind of seem to disappear. And you start to widen your search. You can't really find any other signs of those footprints, as you just kind of like spread out into an ever larger circumference in searching this area. It just seems to almost be as if she was walking this way and then wasn't.
Are we within like the tree line at all?
There's in most places probably about like a few hundred feet between the actual tree line and the lake itself. What are you looking for in the tree line?
Maybe that there were wolves, so she climbed a tree to like get off the ground.
No, like she's next to the lake. You guys are still like next to the lake, and her footprints disappear.
Okay.
If you start to look around, you're still closer to some of those houses and some of the docks than you are to the actual trees.
Do the houses look like they're inhabited?
Like, do they have smoke coming from their chimneys? Yes.
Okay. Perhaps we should ask at some of the houses if anybody has seen her.
It's worth a try.
We will try to walk up to one or two of the houses, knock, and ask.
Roll a d100 for me. So you approach a house and you're going to knock on the door. After a moment, you hear somebody respond. Oh, what do you need?
Oh, have you seen a young lady that meets this? And now I'm going to describe her and such.
I have not seen her, no.
Thank you. If you see her, tell her her father is worried.
Okay.
Moving on to other houses, if I may.
So what are you doing at the next house? Same thing?
Yes.
No, I have not seen a little girl here.
Thank you, good sir. If you see her, tell her father is worried.
And then continuing on.
Yes, sir.
No, I am sorry. I don't believe I've seen a girl around Lake Zarovich for quite some time.
Thank you, sir. If you see her, please tell her father is worried.
And continuing on.
Sure.
I do not think I have seen any little girls in this area. Uh, you say she is a Vistani? Up here?
Yes, sir.
It seems quite odd. It seems she might stick out and somebody would see her.
Well, thank you, sir. Do you have any recommendations?
Um, for what? For finding a little girl? I don't know. No.
Thank you, sir. If you see her, please tell her father is worried. And back to the group.
So asking and trusting people hasn't worked. What else would you all like to try? Do you have any thoughts on which you think might be a viable way to search for her? Let me get a group perception check from you all. Sarkis, Kavi, what were you all doing while Flea was just going house to house?
Gonna just look for like bright colored clothing or sign of distress or something like that.
Like where are you looking?
Just like around the lake, around the area where it looked like her tracks disappeared from.
I was thinking if like any of the boats may have been missing.
How could you tell if boats are missing?
Instead of being like tied off, probably like cut, like the rope's been cut. If there is any rope.
Alright, so let me get an investigation from both of you. Looking around the docks, you don't see anything in particular that seems like any of these boats have been stolen. You don't see any tie-offs that seem to be like missing a boat tied off to it. Everything seems rather in order as far as all of the actual boats along the dock go. Looking for signs of distress. I don't think there's anything in particular for you to find kind of looking about this. From what you can tell, searching where you last saw the footprints, they seem to be heading towards those houses along the edge of the actual lake, and it seems like it's heading towards, perhaps like it's heading westward towards perhaps where Lake Zarovich has its entrance into the Luna River. And then it's kind of back to that same thing. There doesn't seem to be any scuffle. They just pick up and they're gone.
But it seemed like they lead towards the houses.
Yeah, like they basically, you guys are, if you take the road from Vallaki north and look at the lake, you've basically turned left, and that's where the footprints led west. And it's at some point, with those houses still in view ahead of you, that those footprints disappear. But there's houses like behind you as well to the east. It's simply going in this direction. Those houses are there, and the footprints disappear. Perhaps the people in their homes who said that they have not seen her were not telling the truth. Maybe one of them has in fact seen her and just said no. Did any of them seem nervous? Twitchy? Perhaps trying to close the door on you as fast as they could?
Not that I saw.
Her father said she had bright-colored clothing on. If she was here, someone must have seen her. Let's pay them another visit and see if anyone's acting peculiar. And I'll go back to the houses.
I'm going to hang back so they don't see me, and perhaps Sarkis will have better luck not being furry.
How close together are these houses?
It's... How close do you want them to be? What are you looking for?
About a 60-foot radius.
Well, what are you asking about? When you say 60-foot radius, what are you thinking?
I have Zone of Truth as a spell.
At that point, you might be able to get 2 front doors into a zone of truth, but they're basically like fishing hovels. Like these are very clearly people who have set up a shelter next to the lake because they make their money fishing.
And is there from where her footprints end, is there a house within 60 feet?
No. She would have basically, her last footprint was simply off the actual trail from Lake Zarovich, or from Vallaki to Lake Zarovich, and it seems to just be she was walking in that direction towards Luna River and disappeared at some point. And there are 5 fishing homes ahead of you, as well as the lake and the Luna River. The forest kind of closes in shortly after these houses, but other than that, there's no decided place that she was going. It just seems like maybe she took the path and she walked this way, and then her footprints are gone. So when you go to the houses, Sarkis, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm gonna knock on the door and try to talk to the people.
Just going down the line, do you have one in particular that you want to go to? What would you like to ask?
Nope, any one is perfectly fine. And when they open the door, I will just pull out the bubble pipe, and I'll take a couple like little bubbly puffs on it, and I'll say, "I'm still looking for that girl. Did you say you had seen her? Young, dark hair, bright colored clothing, missing?"
Oh, I don't know of any girl in these parts. But you say you are still looking for her? I remember somebody else had come here. But I don't
Someone
know
else
who
came
you
here
are.
looking for her?
Yes, just not too long ago. Was it you?
Interesting. So you have seen her, or you haven't seen her?
No, I saw somebody else asking if I had seen her. And no, I have not seen her.
Can I insight check him?
Go for an insight. Seems overall perplexed. He's not sure whether you are claiming to be Flea or not. I don't think that would be beyond you to understand that's part of what's going on in his mind right now. He seems curious about your pipe, but otherwise doesn't seem to know of any girl in this area.
And just out of curiosity, why don't you like Vistani?
I don't have any particular cause against Vistani. I've always kept my distance from them, though. But I think that all started with my parents. They have always told us stories about the Vistani will snatch crying babies out of the crib and bite their heads off.
That's a good enough reason as any. I buy it. If you see her, let us know. And I'm gonna go to the next house.
So how do you approach this one?
Same thing. I'm gonna knock on the door with the pipe in my mouth.
I don't. I don't remember ever meeting you before.
No, we've never met before. I'm looking for a young girl of Vistani with red hair, bright colored clothing.
A Vistani with red hair.
Black hair, bright colored clothing.
I don't believe I have seen any Vistani in this area for some time.
Out of curiosity, how would you know she was a Vistani? Have you seen any young girls?
I don't think I've seen a girl in these parts for a while now. Most of the fishers, at least from Vallaki, seem to be men who have left their families behind to come here and try to earn what we can.
You live
And
alone in this cabin, do you?
Yes, I do.
Interesting. Nice place. Nice place. Have you eaten already today?
I was just grilling a fillet of some of my catch from today.
Ah, perfect. I could join you for a moment. I appreciate the invite.
Okay. And he's gonna walk back into his house.
I'm gonna like blow bubbles and just sort of like walk around suspiciously.
I don't have another plate here. Um, but as long as you don't burn yourself, you can eat from the frying pan.
Ah, no worries. I have my own utensils and Tupperware and whatnot as well. You seem nice enough. Is there anyone in the area that would be less kind or more suspicious?
Uh, where did you say you are from?
I'm a far traveler, but reside in Vallaki for the most part.
Oh, you're you're not going to tell him if I tell you who might be suspicious.
Of course not. It would obviously be between the two of us.
Okay. Ludo, the fourth house in this row, is touched. His head is not all there. I feel like if there is anybody who you might look for when there is a missing anything, it might be him. It's always been a little different.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your hospitality and your honesty as well. And then I'll like open up my pack and then I'll pull out some of the wolf meat and I'll give him like some wolf fillets.
You have killed a wolf in these parts.
Of
This
course.
is very nice. Thank you, kindly.
Yes, and my people are quite good at cooking, so this has been slow roasted over a 12 to 16-hour period at just the right temperature with a perfect amount of spices supplied. Add more if you like. But sir, I must be on my way, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Yeah. And yes, thank you. And also, you're welcome. And with that, I bid my adieu.
So right now you're just at like the second house along that trail. So you have good enough clue to move on from that guy past the next house and go to the fourth if you'd like.
Yeah, and I'll get their attention and just let them know that there's a suspicious character that lives in the fourth house and we should investigate him.
Yeah, we've got Al, I feel like is dropping, perhaps preparing for his business travels. So knocking on the door, assuming this will be different than how you started the last ones, you just hear a rather familiar accent as, hello? Who is there?
Hello, my friend. I'm Sarkis, new to the area. I'd like to speak with you.
Uh, you are new to the area? You are new to Vallaki.
No, this specific area, the fishing area. I understand that everyone is quite kind here, and many of you are experienced fishers, have quite a bit of gear and experience as well. So I was going to pick your brain about a couple things.
Great, just what we need. More people fishing this barren land. Uh, what questions do you have?
Oh, just general questions about fishing and whatnot, and what type of people are in the area, good spots. Where's your area so that I can stay away from it when you're using it, not to step on anyone's toes.
I don't have any favored spots. I've found the lake quite barren for some time now. But if I am out fishing, stay 50 yards from me and I think we will be happy enough together.
Have you any fresh fish now?
No, I don't. I believe it has been some weeks since I last caught a fish.
Oh, weeks. Oh, you must be hungry then. I've got some wolf I'd be happy to share with you for your kindness. Can join you, warm it up for a little bit then. If you don't mind me coming in for a moment, it is about dinner time.
For my kindness, I don't have anything to offer you for wolf meat.
Company is enough. No one likes to eat alone, and I'm sure you can drum up a little fire. You have some utensils. We could make a nice little dinner.
Um, yes. Okay. I will set a place for you. And he kind of turns around slowly as he walks back into his little house here. And you just see as he's more or less just kind of looking around. It's pretty austere living. It really is like much like having like almost like an ice fishing hut kind of thing. Where there's nothing really like extra about the place. And he's takes some time before he finds just like a little like wooden box kind of thing that you would get like peaches or produce in kind of thing. And he just sets it up on end next to just like a cast iron stove. We can heat the wolf on the stove here. I have some oil that we could saute it.
I have something even better than just some oil. I've got a little griffin grease here. Very, very rare and quite flavorful. Just, I wouldn't presume to use your kitchen, but you can use it.
So he seems hesitant and kind of holding back. There's not too much for you to see inside of his house, and it pretty much is just like a one-room cabin kind of thing. Um, but he kind of brings you in, and you can sit down and heat up some wolf meat over the stove. What are you looking for inside? What are you trying to see here?
I'm looking for like anything bright that would potentially be hers, or something that looks like it belongs to a young girl, or signs of a struggle, or like any particularly strange behaviors as I just sort of like walk around random areas, like discomfort.
Are you trying to be stealthy as you look around, or you're just like you're trying to pace around this whole place?
I'm not trying to look obvious like I'm looking for something, but I'm definitely just looking like the curious kind of like just walking around. Like, if there's like a chair, I'm like, oh, this is a nice chair. Where'd you get this from? Or like, oh, a box from produce. Where do you get produce around these areas? Just random shit. Pictures on the wall, anything in particular. Looking for like a trap door or like hidden room or anything. Is his bed like visible? Is it just a single room?
Yeah, so it's more or less you've got like he's got the stove in the center. There's a bed up against the corner, and it's simply just like an actual sleeping pad, kind of rolled out on the floor. There's like a single box that appears to be like his actual chair, and then he set up another box that is now apparently your chair. But that's kind of like it's a super. There's nothing in here but like kind of his clothes, his like almost like a pack. But you can kind of tell that these people are like almost itinerant fishermen. They come up, they fish while they have it, and then once they have their catch, they take it back into Wallaki, and then they come back here. So it's almost like that they are on like a camping kind of excursion, and these are just their shelters. Um, but roll a. I think an investigation would work for that. And Kavi, you're just hanging outside through all of this?
Yeah, she's kind of like examining the ground, see if there's maybe like a root cellar or something.
You can roll a perception. So, walking around the houses, you don't really spot anything that tells you that they really have anything. Um, that's beyond just what's to be seen. They don't appear to have anything beyond just kind of like a stone foundation, that they're just slightly leveled up above the ground. Otherwise, it's like a pretty open underground above them. Doesn't seem to be anything that you can, in particular, miss about how their uh, foundation kind of works. It's just that, like, almost like the corners are just kind of supported, kind of thing. Um, Walking around the actual inside of this person's house, there definitely seems to be times where he's staring at you. And more or less, he seems just as awkward through most of the time. But there's definitely certain times as you're kind of just wandering around inside of his house where you can tell he's trying to figure out what you are actually up to. And is starting to kind of gather that perhaps you're not just looking for company. And it seems a little bit odd to him. Um, what else are you doing inside of the house? What else are you going for?
So I'm assuming there's like I don't see any like obvious areas, and there's nothing in particular that he looks like shady about when I walk by. And if it's just one room, I guess I'll just like kind of pry on him a little bit more. Seems rather strange that you live out here by yourself and you're a fisherman and haven't caught any fish in weeks. You doing okay? You getting by?
I don't think everything is going well. I'm hopeful for a turn in my luck, yes. Am I getting by all right? Perhaps not.
Hmm. Do you still go out every day, even without catching anything, or are you starting to skip a day here and there?
I have perhaps enjoyed my drink from time to time, but I fish most days still.
Hmm. Interesting. I don't mean to pry. Just curious. Must get awfully lonely living up here by yourself. You seem like you keep to yourself, but suppose a little company here and there might be nice.
It could definitely help to be able to speak to someone from time to time, yes.
I guess I'll just like kind of casually make conversation with him as we like eat the meal or whatever, and see if he's like anything particularly like strange comes up, or if he seems like he's avoiding answering any of my like questions or whatever.
Roll an insight. So, I think you'll find he's avoiding the topic of his catch. I think you'll find he seems to be avoiding the topic of having good luck into the future. But you can almost tell there's like something he's like hiding about why he might still be holding out hope.
Hmm. Yeah. I spend quite a bit of time alone myself. Always nice to have some company, especially the company of a good woman. I'm getting a little old in age myself, but always had a taste for a younger female, if you know what I mean. And I'm gonna see if he acts weird when I say that.
So you can do another insight. So I think you were almost a little too clear with things. And not necessarily in a bad way. You've kind of dropped the ruse and have pretty much placed all the cards on the table. And you definitely do get a rise out of him. Um, no longer questioning why you're here, why all of a sudden there's somebody with um, company. He's kind of just like stops chewing mid you starting to say this sentence and is just like dead-eyed staring at you.
Let's cut the bullshit. We both know why I'm here. Where's the girl?
What does she mean to you? That you would rob me of my sacrifice?
What do you mean by your sacrifice? You somehow think that hurting this girl is going to bring you luck?
I need to catch fish. I live by the fish of this lake. I have always heard the Vistani are good luck.
I need her because she is a fortune teller of sorts. So, if you can deliver her to me, I can perhaps repay such a favor with some halfling luck, a well known trait of my people.
So I can sacrifice you.
The luck that I would bestow upon you would not require a sacrifice, but would indeed fulfill your needs nonetheless.
So then I will sacrifice you.
So I'm going to do some sort of like intimidation on him to try to get him to tell me where the girl is. So I
Roll
guess,
an intimidation.
yeah, I guess I'll like stand up from my chair or whatever, and like kind of walk up to him with the bubble pipe still in my mouth, and I will say, I may not look like much, but like you said, I did kill a wolf.
Intimidation with the bubble pipe. I just want to say disadvantage, but just roll intimidation. The dice almost knew. I don't know if there was a description, but I really hope it's like that pipe from Inglorious Bastards. Only with bubbles.
Yes, it's totally like that.
Um, so as you kind of like stand up and approach to him, he in response is going to stand as well. Standing, what are you? You're like 4 feet tall?
Like 3 foot 3 inches.
Yeah, so he stands like almost twice your height as he stands and kind of looks down at you. If you give me a lucky sacrifice, you can have the girl. But I fear you will already be dead. And he's just going to kind of like reach down towards his bed. And he's going to draw a sword out. I want you to roll initiative.
Ah, the elusive 2. The absolute best roll you can ever have.
Okay, you rolled a 2, but it's a 6. I got you.
Oh yeah, sorry. I made a comment before about how I never roll ones because I can re-roll a 1. I always roll 2s.
So I think he is going to, as he draws his sword, he's going to look to you and respond, "It will be you or her. Now is your time to choose. What do you think is the best way to go about this choice?"
There will be a sacrifice today, but I suspect it will not bring you the luck that you hope. I'm assuming since we're already in initiative that I can't just like attack him though.
What do you mean by just attack him? Like, you're in initiative, you can attack?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was like able to attack like kind of at a turn there. So yeah, I'm gonna attack him. So I will like whatever's going on now. I'll just have like my stick in my hand, and as I like finish talking to him, I'll like blow a couple more bubbles, and then all of a sudden I'm just gonna like, I guess whatever's nearby, I'm gonna do like sort of a parkour jump off of it and try to smack him with my stick.
Alrighty, make that attack. So as you leap off of one of the boxes behind you and do like the Yoda swing at him with your staff, he just kind of dodges to the side of you.
And then I will just turn back at him with like a scowl, and I'll say, "You wouldn't hurt an old man, would you?" And then I'm gonna jump straight at him again, and as I do, I'm gonna try to like punch him right in his Adam's apple.
Leaping back across at him, you get a solid connection to his throat.
Okay, and then I'm gonna do one more unarmed strike against him, and I'm gonna use my inspiration on this. And as I like hit him with this unarmed strike, it's gonna actually be me like jumping for his throat, and I'm gonna bite into like his neck when I do, full on vampire style, and I'm going to use Hand of Harm against him. Which maybe I'll share if I can figure out how.
So is the Hand of Harm added to that second unarmed strike, basically?
Yeah, but I have this Physician's Touch ability, which is when you use Hand of Harm on a creature, you can subject that creature to the poison condition until the end of the turn. So he'll take 19 damage, and then also he'll be poisoned. And after I like bite him, I want to like tough talk him for a second. You feel that? That's the poison coursing through your veins. You'll be dead soon. There's only one cure, and I have it right here in my fingers. All you need to do is give up the girl and ask, and perhaps I will spare you.
It's still 6 seconds regardless, and I feel like you started with shit talking. So
So, like,
hold up on all of that.
yeah, that's fine. I think it just gives him disadvantage on his attacks.
Gotcha, and it's the end of your next turn, not the end of the turn. Alrighty, so on this one, he is going to strike out at you with his scimitar. Holy shit. And he gets a solid hit. And he will do 9 slashing damage as he cuts across you with his scimitar. And then another swipe from it, sufficiently missing. And then he's going to swipe at you with a dagger and also miss. So, what do you have in mind here? You can finish that threat kind of thing if you'd like. Go about that.
You just assume that I've like been saying that throughout this like whole combat as he like strikes me.
Again, he just kind of like dodges to the side of that quarterstaff attack. Did you skip one quarterstaff attack? I feel like you should have had 2 quarterstaff. And then did you use the key for the...
No, I unarmed strike. I get 1 regular quarterstaff, and then I unarmed strike the second and the third attack. Like the second attack was my main attack, and then my bonus action was an unarmed strike.
But isn't Physician's Touch, is that just a free thing now that you have that Hand of Harm?
Well, no, it's the other way around. I spend a key point to use that on an unarmed strike, which I use in my bonus action, but it's not like with the Hand of Healing where I can use it with.
Gotcha.
It's separate. So when I hit him with that one, I'm going to... Does he look bloodied at all or anything?
At this point, no, not especially.
Okay, when I hit him with that one, I'm going to do Stunning Strike on him. 14 DC.
His muscles are going to stiffen. You'll have advantage on this final attack.
The poisons are setting in. You'll soon lose the ability to move.
Yep, that one will hit as well. So another 5. So he does not react his next turn. What else are you doing here?
Kavi, he has the girl. Alright, I guess I'll yell out to like Kavi and Flea. And then I'm gonna strike him down again. And I'm gonna do quarterstaff, unarmed strike.
So I think Kavi can get in here. At least to the door. She's like vaguely around these houses. So Kavi, if you use your movement to get to the door, you see Starkus beating up on this person inside of his hut. Bloodied at this point. What would you like to do, Kavi?
Looking around the inside, does it look like there's anywhere to like hide a child?
Nope.
Uh, she'll call out the child's name. See if she can't like hear her.
Roll a performance. As you yell out, you'll just have to kind of wait and see if you hear anything. But at present, what else would you like to do?
She'll cast a vicious mockery on him.
Any bonus action from? Otherwise, it'll go to.
Not at the moment, no.
What would you like to do here, Sarkis? Just all 3 straight attacks? Anything that you're adding on?
No. I'm gonna just go 3 straight attacks, and I'm gonna go for unconscious. If the
Yeah, I actually read that. It's much easier than I've ever played that before. You honestly get to find out that somebody is done fighting, like either dead or unconscious, and then decide. But it is very particularly also just with melee attacks. So as long as the person who is attacking is in melee, when somebody dies, like their hit points hit 0, you then have that choice whether you want to knock them unconscious. It's much easier than I previously thought. And it also solves the problem where I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure how you knock somebody unconscious with an arrow or how you knock somebody unconscious with a spell.
all right. Yeah, I always just kind of figured it's like when they're like you like hit them with like the blunt end of like your sword instead of like stabbing them, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is, but like it almost plays slightly different where the last attack you almost flavor it once you know that you're there. Kind of that you get to see that moment before they lose consciousness, and then you're able to do it with the last one, kind of thing. Maybe isn't like the best way to explain it, but it definitely makes it easier to knock people unconscious. But I think in the chain of those attacks, yeah, I think with that last unarmed strike, you're basically able to just find the button and you just click his consciousness off, and he falls over in a big lump.
Oh, okay, perfect. And then I'm going to, well, I guess if I knock him unconscious, what is it? I have to wait 1 to 4 hours for him to get back up? Is that what it would normally be?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna like use the hand of healing on him after he's like knocked unconscious, and as he like comes to, I will. Well,
He's so little threat that you're not going to tie him up or anything beforehand.
I was thinking if I want to like just casually eat my steak while he's like unconscious on the ground, like bleeding out, or look around for the girl. So I figure she's got to be around somewhere. So I guess I'll wait a minute.
So, while you eat your steak, you can think about what you'd like to do, and you can talk to Kavi about how you'd like to question him, and if you two want to search around, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know she was like calling out for him, or her as well.
So you do not hear anything being like called out to you after you respond, but that will drop you all out of initiative, and then you were more or less able to make that decision.
So as he's like eating his dinner, he's like talking to Kavi. Small place. She's got to be around here somewhere. I can't. I know he has her. He didn't say where. He was trying to do a sacrifice, but not gonna happen. Not on my watch. Arabelle! Are you here? Well, don't suppose there was like a cellar or anything out back, or any trapdoors in the ceiling? Kind of like looking around.
Am I able to like reach up and touch the ceiling?
Yeah, it appears to just be kind of rafters up above you, but let me have the two of you do a perception. Kavi, as you're looking up into the rafters, you see that there seems to be a rope that hangs down from the ceiling, and it kind of just comes to the height of the rafters.
About how high up is it? Like, I'm assuming it's not like a very tall hut.
Base of the rope is probably about 8 feet tall. It's probably just beyond. How tall is Kavi? Like you're 5 foot?
5'7".
Roll a dexterity check for it. So you're able to jump up, and it's like just beyond your reach.
You could stand on my shoulders. That would get you like another 2 feet. You could grab the table over there. You could stand on that. There's this little fruit crate. Without my pack and my equipment, I'm only about 40 pounds. You could throw me up there.
Are we trying to go for like a tightrope throw here?
I've got quite a few options. I'm rather dexterous. I think if I got a running start and you did like a little hand boost and threw me up in the air.
We can try it.
Sure. Just put your hands together and I'll run and jump off of your hands up into the air and grab hold of the rope. Or at least maybe I can get up on the rafters and then I can see where the rope goes from there.
So acrobatics and I think just kind of help action kind of thing. Yeah, so I think advantage on acrobatics from Circus. Yeah, so you're able to get a boost up from her, where you're able to get your hand on the rope and stand on the rafter, basically.
And the rope leads up to something I can't see? Is that what it is? Or
seems to just lead into the ceiling.
so can I just pull down on the rope? Like, does it have a trap door behind her?
Pulling on it, it doesn't seem to budge at all.
Can I pull out my little kit and light a candle and see? Is it like dark? Can I not see where it goes?
No, that wasn't like doing anything darkness-wise. From what you can tell, there's just a rope that seems to mysteriously lead to nowhere.
So if I crawl up the rope, like, is it just like attached to the wood, or does it look like it goes like through the wood somewhere?
It doesn't seem to be tied to the wood in the least bit. Roll a strength check.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just try to like crawl up the rope then.
Kavi, you watch as Sarkis climbs up the rope and disappears. Sarkis, as you climb up the rope, you all of a sudden put your head through a hole and you're in a small little room. You can see there's about a 2-foot circumference, no, 2-foot radius hole that this rope is the center of, and there's looks like a stone floor all around you in a room that seems to be about the size of this little fishing place that you've been in. And there is indeed somebody who is unconscious, seems to be sleeping just on the ground in front of you.
Kavi, it's some sort of magic. I just crawled through some kind of hole, and it's her. It has to be her. There's a body here, unconscious. The whole room.
As you start to yell, you see as the person starts to move a little bit, and as you kind of finish that little bit of a sentence, they just kind of pop up, and as they kind of pop up, you see as like almost like just like a burlap kind of brown woven cover kind of falls off of them. You see a girl who fits the description of what you all would recognize to be Arabelle, and she very quickly looks to you. Are you real? Is Pluto, is he... Are you... Am I safe?
You're safe now, darling. Pluto has been dispatched. He's still alive for now, but he won't be a threat anymore. Your father sent us. We're here to rescue you. My friends are down below. Are you okay? Do you need healing before you can crawl down from here?
I'm okay enough. He was going to give me to a monster in the lake.
Yes, he notified me of his will to sacrifice something, but that won't happen.
He thought I cursed his fishing.
He's a delusional old man looking for excuses other than his lack of skill. And it's not your fault. You're safe, and we're going to get you home.
You are too kind. Thank you. I'm not to message Al and see what's going on there.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see him in the game.
Everybody was just having like connection issues.
Yeah, but I was thinking the same thing, and then I see that he's actually on Discord as active right now. So I don't know if that's like his phone.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice. I noticed he was like in and out of Discord, so I figured he was having issues, like Kavi said.
Yeah, I think he rejoined after a moment, and then I just didn't even notice that he never actually rejoined again. Like he joined and then dropped moments later. So she looks down and she's I I can I can you help me down from the rafters? That seems like a really far way to fall.
Of course, no problem at all. So I will just ask her, "You trust me?"
She just kind of like wavers for a moment. What? Why would I? No.
Well, I left my rope down there. How far is the fall right now?
Just like 12 feet.
Just trust me. I'm not that strong, so I'm not going to be able to carry you down. But I'll get you down safely. But just hold on to me as tightly as possible. And when we hit the ground, just use me as a cushion. I promise we'll be fine. I'm going to try to like give her a hug and then jump off the edge so she lands on top of me.
All right, just do a strength check.
I'm assuming I'm just watching him like jumping out of the ceiling.
Yeah, I feel like if I had done that as an acrobatics, which is kind of what I was thinking, because it's like an almost willing grapple. Um, yeah, but you're able to pop down and then you're going to feather fall.
Well, it's just slow fall.
Yeah, slow fall.
Yeah, it just reduces any falling damage by 30.
Yeah. So yeah, you're able to jump down as she's more or less like kind of cradled in your arms. And she kind of sets down back on like terra firma, and you see like just a wave of kind of relief kind of crosses over her. And well, that was delightful. Um, Thank you all. Thank you.
As graceful as I intended, but we made it down here safe nonetheless. Would you care to do the honors? And I'll look over at Bluto.
Um, I don't think there's an special reason to harm him. I think he. I think he suffers enough. No, I don't want to hurt him.
No worries. We got to get you back to your pop before it gets too late. He's very worried about you. And also, we were hoping to get a reading.
Are you far travelers?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
How delightful. Hmm. Well, and she kind of like goes and sits pretty much like right next to the unconscious Bluto and just wipes some things off of one of the like makeshift seats as she sits down on his bed. And you'll see as she reaches towards her right wrist, and without actually going anywhere out of sight, she starts to pull a black bundle out of her wrist, and as she kind of sets it out on this little spot, she unwraps it, and you see it's just like a black silk with some designs and things kind of written in silver on top of it. Uh, how long have you been in Barovia?
I have no idea. I lost track the last time I saw the sun. Days? A few weeks, maybe? 3 weeks? Maybe? I don't know.
Do you remember home?
Of course, of course.
So she just starts shuffling, and she just kind of does like different shuffles here and there, and she's going to ask you all just kind of apparently random questions, but a lot of questions sort of just vaguely about yourselves over the next 5 or so minutes as she's just shuffling the cards. And then after a while, she'll ask you both just to place your hand on top of the cards and tells you to align them, but doesn't ask you to do anything to the cards. Just to like place your hand on top of it, and she basically has you leave your hand there for about 35 seconds, 45 seconds, and then afterwards she goes back to shuffling, and then she goes to the next of you, has you do the same thing, and then she has you continue about, and then she goes to the next one and does the same thing. And over the process of another about 5 minutes, she basically has each of you do that before she asks you to kind of sit around in a circle. And in a very similar way, she will give you all a reading. And you will see as she presents the reading, it is not like Madame Eva, where there is a big, misty kind of presentation. Her reading is much more austere and simple, but you do see the same way that throughout her reading, her consciousness is on a different level. It is not this little girl who is giving you a reading. There's clearly something else that is powering the reading. And her voice changes from the moment she draws the first card to flip it out onto the table. She has a different voice. But over the next 5 minutes, she ends up presenting you all with her Taroka reading. And again, she'll go over pretty much the same cards. You'll see, I didn't actually prepare this one like individual cards, but you'll see as she flips the 9 of glyphs, talks about the traitor, tells you to look for a wealthy woman, a staunch ally of the devil. And then she tells you she keeps the treasure locked under lock and key with the bones of an ancient enemy. And that's the first card on the left side of the reading. And then she will flip over the next one, and she says, this is the illusionist, the 7 of stars, a man who is not what he seems. He seems to come here in a carnival wagon. Therein lies what you seek, a holy symbol. And then she flips over the third card, the 4 of stars, the abjurer. I see a fallen house, guarded by a great stone dragon. Look to the highest peak. And then she flips the 4th card, and she looks at it for a moment. The horseman. A man of death, named Aragal, will forsake his dark lord to serve your cause. Beware, he has a rotten soul. And then she goes on to the last card, flipping Dajan. And he lurks in the Hall of Bones, in the dark pits of his castle. And then her eyes kind of unglaze, as she kind of returns to normal, and she kind of looks back, starts to place the cards back together into the deck, and slowly wraps the silk back over them. And then she again kind of reaches with her left hand towards her right wrist, and the little packet seems to disappear.
And that was the same reading we got before, right? Or was that second to last card different?
Second to last card was the same card, but with a different reading.
Okay, I got you.
And then particular also, I use the actual Taroka deck instead of Madame Eva uses a different deck as far as I'm concerned. I like that idea that they're both using two different decks.
I got you. Well, I felt like the names you said were different, like the Sean John or whatever, and the other one.
Yeah, like the names of all the cards are different because I use the actual... For the first one, you guys got the actual Taroka reading presented with the Toth Tarot. So it used the names of those actual cards, and I rewrote the actual rhymes to essentially add Madame Eva's flair with the cards. So when she turned over what was the first one there? Valor. She basically described everything in the sense of valor. When she turned over... Damn, I can't actually see him all that good right here. Like when she turned over happiness, she described things in reference to the happiness. So that's part of why, one, that was a longer reading, and two, why Madame Eva has more flair, was to kind of hide the actual cards. I don't suppose everything would be at its best if we stay here. He will wake up at some point, but perhaps it might be best not to travel now?
Like how late is it at this point in time? I mean, I'm assuming Flea knows.
I think overall, you all would be looking at it's like the moon's still rising into the sky, like 8:30 or so.
We could still get you home. Your father is very worried about you. It would probably please him to see you again before another night goes by.
Sophia will kind of like pipe up a little bit. Is it truly important? We could call on him and have Rahadin take us.
I don't think that that's a good idea right now, especially while we have the potions. I'm not sure how pleased he would be if he found out that we were trying to get you out of here.
Arabelle's going to look up at you. Did you buy potions from my father?
We did. I suspect they're total ripoff.
How much did you spend on them?
We traded him some goods that we got as a reward. It was before he told us of his plight, and we worked out the deal. I suspected that when we returned, he would give us back our goods and admit to the snake oil.
They serve no purpose at all. Um, if you... If I can, please, let me have one of you roll a d3. It could be a d6 divided by 2. And then roll a d100. Kavi, please. Perhaps it won't satisfy what you've spent, but perhaps it would be better not to bring up understanding what it is. But if you would let me offer this to you. And she'll again reach towards her right wrist. And as she starts to remove her left hand away from it, she's going to pull out a red vial and hand that off to you. And that is a potion of healing. It may not be much, but it's something that I can offer. And my family can't always be helped. It's hard not to profit off of people when they have the chance to. I'm sure after hearing that you were looking for me, you probably had the slightest tinge of feeling guilty. But he probably didn't feel too guilty either.
No worries, dear. Don't worry yourself. It's... Everyone has to make a living. We should get you home, though. Better to leave now and have you in your father's arms. If we stay here, I'll be compelled to dispatch of this one. If we leave now, we can leave him to his own fate.
Well, if you all are ready, let us leave before we have to come to such things. And we can continue along our way. Uh, so do you all just want to walk back and more or less just try to make as fast as you can for the Vistani camp?
Yeah, I think try to make like a nice pace back there. And I think just leave Bluto to his own.
So, let's see. I think making your way back, everything goes pretty well. You're able to make it most of the way back towards Vallaki before a point does come about that you start to hear the howls of wolves. And as they start to kind of come from one direction, you then hear some of them from in front of you, and then you hear some from kind of behind you to the opposite direction. What would you like to do when you first hear the wolves?
I think keep moving. If it's getting dark, I'll light a torch.
But yeah, it's definitely beyond night.
Okay, well, I'll for sure have a torch lit to guide the way. And then I guess still trying to travel at a brisk pace, but also like trying to be conscious of if it appears they're getting close enough to where we're not going to be able to get away from them.
So let me have the two of you roll Constitution checks. As you're moving along the road towards Vallaki, kind of halfway between Lake Zarevich and Vallaki, it's apparent that the wolves are going to close in on you before you could even get to Valaki's walls. You're going to have to make a decision.
They're gaining on us. We should stop and fight them or move faster. Those are our two choices. Yeah, I guess just stand and fight them.
So, let me move you all here and have you place yourselves on the map. So if you all would add yourselves there. So I think we're going to start with Sarkis here. What would you like to do, Sarkis? As you kind of like turn around to stop the inevitable and see the wolves closing in probably about 20-25 feet from you in either direction.
All right, I'm gonna jink towards the ones that are over, like closer to Kavi. And then I'm gonna double hand walking stick attack the first one right here.
Smacking into it. Hold up. Gotta stop rolling like all of your attacks just automatically. You're gonna smack into it and you're knocking it dead.
Okay, I'm gonna attack the second one.
And that drops that one as well.
I'll probably be out of range for everything else, so that's it for my turn.
Kavi, what are you gonna do?
I'm going to use 2 beams on Eldritch Blast, 1 hitting each of them.
Alright, roll the north one first. And the second one? See as it connects into the wolf and it yelps a little bit.
That'll end my turn.
The first wolf is going to run up and try to bite into Kavi, and is going to miss as it tries to go for her leg. The second wolf is going to run up and try to bite into Kavi, and will hit with a 22. I need a strength saving throw from you, Kavi. And it's going to do 6 piercing damage to you as you fall prone on the ground. Sarkis, what would you like to
I'll just run up and double-handed stick attack the north one.
Striking right into its fur, you get a solid hit. And it is bloodied. You hear like the crack of bones.
Do second attack just against the same one.
And that will crush it.
And bonus unarmed strike. I would try to like punch the other one right in its nose.
Solid strike to the snout, and that one is bloodied. It has a bloody nose. Kavi, what would you like to do?
I'm not grappled. I'm just prone.
Just prone, just got knocked on the ground basically as it bit at you.
All right, I'm just going to get up.
So half your movement.
And I'm just going to stab it with a rapier.
Make the attack. Solid strike. It is going to bite back at you. 14 hit your AC? Yeah, it's going to bite into you. And it's going to do 7 more piercing damage. Another strength saving throw, please. And that time you hold out. It is bloody in front of you, Sarkis. Go for the kill. Able to kind of leap out of the way on both of those strikes. And the unarmed strike, you are able to get a hold of it and end that wolf. And you will see as the girls come out, and Sophia will kind of, well, it doesn't seem traveling is going to be as dangerous at night.
Hopefully not. The wolves, at least. Just be careful. There's spider webs all over the place.
That's just a stolen map.
No, I just thought it was funny.
So you all can continue on making the rest of your way down to the south, very quickly reaching Vallaki. Do you want to go around Vallaki? Do you want to go through Vallaki? How do you think about that?
I think around it. I don't want to like get distracted, and we really want to get her home to her pops, so he's not all worried.
Gotcha. Sound good to you there, Kavi?
She's also Vistani, and she's not allowed in Vallaki.
So you all can make your way around the outskirts. Everything seems plenty calm as you skirt the northwestern side of the town, eventually making your way past the gates. You can give it a wide enough berth again where you are basically rejoining and crossing Old Svalich Road in a quick little go, making your way down the pathway towards the Vistani camp, and with very little delay approach the Vistani tent. Everything seems to be in a pretty similar position overall. There's a little bit of music playing. You see some light of campfires being burned from up above in the Vistani camp, but overall it seems very much like how you left it. And eventually you all can make your way inside of the tent, where you see about 12 Vistani seem to be back in the tent. At that point, some of them actually would be some of the women. You can gather there's 4 women right now out of those 12. You can gather that some of the women were actually the ones who were searching for Arabelle, and perhaps recognizing that they have the ability to read the cards, that maybe that was also part of why they were searching. They're more capable.